For much of its early history, down to about 100 BCE, Rome did not rely on a standing professional army. Instead, its military strength rested on an institution that blended civic duty with everyday life: the citizen militia. The Roman army was composed not of career soldiers, but of ordinary Roman men who took up arms when the Republic called and returned to their fields when the fighting was done. All Roman men between the ages of 17 and 46 were eligible for service. Military duty was not universal, however. The very poor were exempt, not out of mercy, but necessity. They owned no farmland and lacked the resources to purchase weapons, armor, and equipment, all of which soldiers were expected to supply themselves. In early Rome, this exclusion mattered little. Most citizens were small landholding farmers, and military service was simply another obligation of citizenship, alongside paying taxes and voting in assemblies. Warfare followed the agricultural calendar. Like the Greeks before them, the Romans fought primarily in the summer months. Men were drafted in the spring, marched out to campaign once the weather improved, and returned home by winter to tend their crops. This system functioned well so long as wars were fought close to Rome, where campaigns could be concluded quickly. As Roman power expanded beyond central Italy and conflicts carried armies farther afield, maintaining this seasonal rhythm became increasingly difficult. But for centuries, it defined the Roman way of war. Although Roman soldiers were not professionals, their experience accumulated over time. A citizen might be called upon to serve as many as 20 summers during his lifetime. Repeated campaigns produced soldiers who, while technically amateurs, were hardened by experience. They learned discipline, unit cohesion, and battlefield endurance not through permanent enlistment, but through recurring bursts of service spread across decades. Rome's extraordinary military success is all the more striking when compared to its enemies. Peoples such as the Samnites, and later the Carthaginians, often fielded professional armies with superior training. Yet Rome possessed advantages that compensated for these deficiencies. First, sheer numbers. Rome could raise armies on a scale few opponents could match, drawing from a deep reservoir of citizen farmers accustomed to physical labor and hardship. These men were resilient, disciplined by rural life, and fiercely determined, fighting not for pay alone, but for their land, their families, and their civic identity. Leadership posed a more serious challenge. Roman armies were commanded by consuls, civilian magistrates elected for one-year terms, many of whom had little direct military experience. Yet Rome developed mechanisms to blunt this weakness. Elite families groomed their sons for command from an early age, sending young men to observe campaigns, serve under relatives, and learn warfare through practice rather than theory. More importantly, long-term strategy did not rest in the hands of consuls at all. That responsibility belonged to the Senate, an assembly of older men whose political careers were grounded in decades of military service. The Senate planned campaigns, allocated resources, and provided continuity from year to year, ensuring that Rome's wars were guided by experience even when individual commanders were not. The result was a military system uniquely suited to a growing republic. Rome could absorb battlefield losses, replace fallen armies, and persist where others might collapse. Its soldiers were motivated by social obligation and personal investment, its leadership supported by institutional memory, and its manpower seemingly inexhaustible. Over time, these advantages allowed Rome to grind down its rivals and expand steadily outward, until a city-state militia became the instrument by which Rome conquered the entire Mediterranean world.